right, folks, welcome back. Episode 32 of the ICT Mastery Mentorship. In this episode, we're going to be going over macros, a very time-based concept. Nothing dealing with fair value gaps or chart patterns, as you know, the retail traders will call it. But no, this is time-based, fully time-based. Macros, okay? Think of it as, how can I describe this? It's basically a timed set of instructions that the algorithm has to deliver, in which they could vary based off of the day's narrative or what's going on throughout the day, like, the market conditions that are present. Now, this set of instructions are delivered at certain times. There's many different macros. Well, not really many, but there's two distinctive macros, the lunch hour macro and the final hour macro. But the normal macro would be starting at the last 10 minutes of an hour and ending at the first 10 minutes of the next hour. So for example, 9:50 to 10:10. Last 10 minutes, first 10 minutes of the next hour. Last 10 minutes of the hour, first 10 minutes of the next hour. So 10:50 to 11:10. That's a macro. Now, mind you, you're not, are you noticing that these times are within kill zone? Yeah, it's within the New York kill zone. So these macros or these 20-minute intervals, because that's what they are, it's the last 10 minutes of the hour and the next 10 minutes of the next hour. Okay, first 10 minutes of the next hour. That's 20 minutes right there. Within that time, you have to look for those intervals during kill zones. Okay. So you can't go outside of a kill zone and say, hmm, what time is like outside of a kill zone? Let me see here. Yeah, like around here, something like that. Like for example, let me go down to like a 5 minute, go to Asian. Here we go. You can't say something like 11:50 to 12:10 because it's not within the kill zone. So, whichever 20 minutes, starting from the last 10 minutes of the hour to the first 10 minutes of the next hour, if that 20-minute interval is within a kill zone like London, Asian, or New York, or even pre-market, that's still, you know, it's a valid macro. Okay, so but anything outside of a kill zone that you're using for a quote unquote macro and saying, "Oh, this is a macro because it's 20 minutes." No, it has to be within a kill zone. Asian, these specific ones. Ready? Asian, London, free market, or New York in New York PM. Okay, or basically just the entirety of New York. Got it? Simple. London lunch? No. Sydney? No. That kill zone doesn't even exist. Tokyo? It's just Asian, but people call it Tokyo for some reason, and they have the times completely wrong. I've seen somebody say that, "Oh, Tokyo session is from 6 o'clock to 1 o'clock." That's not true. Anyway, let's go over macros. Okay, what macros are supposed to do? Just a normal macro, because there's two other ones that are totally distinct from the regular 20-minute interval, which is lunch hour, and final hour macro, which those have specific instructions that the algorithm is supposed to do, and sometimes won't do based off of current market conditions. But the normal 20-minute last 10 minutes of the hour to the first 10 minutes of the next hour, that macro, what that is supposed to do, or what's intended to do, it is supposed to do two things: rebalance imbalances or seek liquidity. That's all it's supposed to do. That is it. Now we're going to go to a 1 minute just so we can, get a better view on this. So look here. Let me try to mark this. 9:50, last 10 minutes of the hour right here. 9:50 to 10:10, right there. What is supposed to happen here? I just said it. Two things. Think of it, okay? It can only do one of these things. Only one. Or if it's eager, it'll do both of these things at the same time. Okay, because what it can do is, for example, it can drop down to fill some imbalances and then go back up in the same macro to buy side liquidity. In which that didn't happen here. They was the complete opposite. But what happened during this macro is it is sought liquidity. This point of liquidity right here, which was the 9:30 opening, or the 9:30 opening, that low right there. So this would be sell side liquidity right there, which we can mark that as liquidity purge. Notice, pay attention to what's happening here. Let me turn off the kill zones. So we open up, we time distort, time distort, time distort, time distort. Now, here's one thing I forgot to mention. If you have time distortion before a macro, it supercharges it. When I say supercharge, I mean that macro is going to have a heightened level of volatility or heightened level of aggression, in which we had time distortion within a macro. If time distortion occurs within a macro, then it's likely that the other half of the macro, like the last 10 minutes of it, are probably going to do most work. But that time distortion can occur. It can occur, let it occur. It can occur anywhere in which it does. We have time distortion here, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We drop, we start time distorting again. And then the last 10 minutes, like, okay, let's finally seek liquidity so we can reverse and go back higher. Macros are not used for just expansions. They can manipulate and they can expand. Okay. I see a lot of people say, oh, macros, when a macro comes, price is supposed to just jump through the roof. Not true. Okay. Mind you, mind you, mind you, every single concept that is taught here comes from where? Do you know? Yeah, the guy. What's his name? Michael? Yeah, Michael. Every concept that is taught here, every understanding, every technique that is taught here comes from that guy there. Okay. I don't learn from but like all I don't even know their names. I just see them on Instagram and TikTok because I have that type of algorithm because I'm a part of these markets. But I have that type of day trader type algorithm, and it's just force selling, rip off, and all that. I literally say it right here in the darn thing. Like, where's it at? Right here. Every concept, theory, idea, and understanding on this channel are regurgitated from this source, the Inner Circle Trader, aka Michael J. Hudson. Okay. Just remember that. You are not being ripped off here. Everything is coming from the source. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, so we time to store, right? We use this macro to manipulate, okay? In which, mind you, this macro is going into what? London close. Where's it at? Going into the London close. And what does the London close normally do? It reverses price or causes price to expand. In which we use this macro to manipulate in what way? Seek liquidity. Oh, what's the two requirements of a macro? Seek liquidity. Oh, did we do it? Oh my God, yes, we did. We saw liquidity, and then oh my God, we're still in London close. Oh my goodness, we're disrespecting fair value gaps. Oh my God, we hold on, wait. There's power of three also. We accumulated, manipulated, and expanded. Oh my God, this is wow. This is so amazing. Yeah, I know, right? So technical, so calculated. Market is amazing. Now, this 20-minute interval, very calculated and algorithmic. That's why you're seeing all this play through so, what's the word? Smoothly. Time distortion before it supercharges the macro. In the macro, first 10 minutes time distorts, last 10 minutes begins to manipulate lower, seeking liquidity. After that, we are still inside of London close, so London close should do what? If the day's bias is bullish, we should be reversing higher during the London close. Simple, right? Has pre-market accumulated at all? Hmm, kinda, sorta. We had a bunch of accumulation here at first, but pre-market did dump pretty good amount. I think this was like 200 points. I tried catching this, but I could not get this that day. Yeah, it was like a 120-point move. I tried getting it like around here, but it just started dropping too fast. But anyway, this is pretty unusual, I'm not gonna lie. To see New York moving like this, especially after a large move in pre-market, very unusual, I'm not gonna lie to you. But it can happen. It's like a probably a 20% chance of happening, but it's very, very rare that price move like this during New York after pre-market has a crazy move. But anyway, turning the kill zones back off, you can see how price is acting, what it's doing, how it's manipulating, and what it wants to do next. Accumulation, manipulation in the form of a macro, in which distribution is what? London close. Now you're seeing how all these concepts are being put together, right? Simple. It's not too hard. It really isn't. Not at all. Now let's look here at 1050 to 1110. Let's see. Remember how I said macros can do two things or the two options in the same macro? Yeah, they can, in which it does that here. So you see all these imbalances here? This gap, I can, select the rectangle. We got this gap here. Why is it blue? Weird. Why is it blue? There we go. I mean, why is it green? We got fair value gap, another one there, and we have this one's already been filled, but we have a bunch of gaps that are here. Even on the 3 minute, I'm sure we got a bunch more. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Gap, gap, gap. So we have gaps here, mainly in the premium um range of this here. Okay. So going back down to the 1 minute and scrolling all the way back over, if I can get there. What this macro is doing, okay, or what has happened before the macro, is we rebalanced what? Imbalance. Oh my God. Okay. What is JJ cooking? I might be cooking. We rebalance imbalances. We time distorted outside and within the macro. So this is about 10 minutes worth of time distortion. Pretty good amount. 10 minutes time distortion, that's a pretty long time. Especially if you're on the 1 minute and 15 second. That's a long time to wait. So what's going to happen during this macro? It's manipulated in the form of retracing into a slight discount. And I think it hit equilibrium or got really, really close. So look here. We rebalance some balances, right? Since we've done that, I thought it did two things in the same macro. It looked like it did it, just in hindsight earlier without placing the lines down. But if we rebalance and balances, so now the only thing that the macro has left to do is what? Jump higher or seek liquidity, in which the liquidity is right there, right there. Pretty simple, isn't it? Yep. So the macro kicks in, it's supercharged. Guess what happens? It just delivers, delivers, delivers. The only down candle you see is that right there. That one down candle when we start going up. That's it. So you see what I'm talking about? You see it? Starting from here to here, 124 points right there. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, I know. Pretty nice. And then even when we started to begin, I said started to begin, even when we started to rebalance imbalances, just check out how we reacted around the equilibrium. We failed to even reach that. That's a very strong confluence. If we're retracing, right, and we're like, oh, it has to go to equilibrium, right? It doesn't have to. It's actually better if it doesn't. If you want to see price go higher, it's better that it does not come to this level. Better. In which I think it shows how much better it is because look, came down, failed to reach it, time distorted around that level, supercharge the macro, macro kicks in, expand higher, seeking liquidity. Simple, right? Yeah, real, real simple. So now you understand that, right? It's pretty simple. I hopefully it's simple because I'm trying to teach this as simple as possible. Now the lunch hour or the lunch macro, okay? Lunch isn't just lunch. Okay, lunch isn't just lunch. Lunch isn't just for eating in this market. Lunch is for preparing. Lunch is for preparing. So here we go. Lunch macro is from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. New York local time. Okay, please remember that. It's New York local time right there. So within this time here, that range right there, price shouldn't, keyword, shouldn't do much expanding. It really shouldn't. Shouldn't do much expanding at all. In which did it really? No, we just had this one expansion and we mainly accumulated, right? You see what's going on. So this macro here, or this time, this 2-hour interval, is meant to do two things: accumulate and retrace to continue. Okay, that's what those two are for. In which, when we started the lunch hour macro, we retraced a little bit, hit that what is this? Have I taught that? Hold on, let me make sure I'm not leaking anything. Oh my God, Jason's leaking something. Okay, nope, I didn't mention that, but we did hit this order block, came down, retraced, filled some imbalances, touched that order block, delivered higher, and then we begin accumulating for the last, what's that, hour and 30 of the macro, in which, mind you, look here. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Look, we accumulate, 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 accumulate to do what? The day's bias is still higher. So when the lunch macro ends, which is 1:30, what should price do? It should go higher, and it does that. Matter of fact, it came 2 minutes early, 1:28. He was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to wait any longer. I can't wait the last 2 minutes, and it just started jumping, jump, 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 jump. In which I think this was over 100 points. No, it actually wasn't. It's only 73. Dang, we're in a really tight range. Crazy. Anyway, the final hour macro. Okay, this is a very simple, very, very simple macro. And why isn't my volume turned down? I just realized that my volume is not turned down. Here we go. Final hour is from 3:15 to, what is it, 3:45, I think? Yeah, 3:45. Now, since this is close towards the end of the day, which is, what is it, 5 o'clock for the indice market or indice futures market? Yeah, 5 o'clock. Since this is near that time, price will tend to retrace back into the day's range, or if the if the morning or even the afternoon hasn't begun expanding, this can do it. Okay. So, for example, if afternoon session has consolidated so far and the morning session has consolidated so far, it's likely that this macro here is going to start sending price higher for the just for a little bit because it's only a 30-minute interval. But since we've already expanded during New York morning and New York PM, this macro will be used to begin the day's retracement. Okay, starting at 3:15. So during this time, it can do multiple things. And those multiple, it's only two things. It can prepare for the expansion, prepare for the retracement, and or it can just retrace. That's it. In which it did both. It prepared by, watch this. See this accumulation here? Accumulate, 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 accumulate. Watch this. Accumulation, manipulation in this run up right here. See that? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We had that final run up. We had that pull right back down, causing a break in market structure. let me mark this as break and market structure right there. Then mark this as liquidity purge. Here we go. Liquidity purge and mark this as break and market structure. So just pay attention. How could you have traded this live? If you were watching this, how could you have traded this? Let's just see. You see the accumulation. You're like, okay, find out our macro. It started. Let's see what happens. Right off the bat, we begin moving very, very slowly, which we jump up into buy sell liquidity. Whoa, whoa, what are we doing here, Price? What's the goal? We jumped up, but what are we doing next? Are we going to retrace? Or are we just going to accumulate for the day? I forgot to mention that too. This macro doesn't always have to retrace if it doesn't want to. It can simply just accumulate and not do anything. That's why I don't really mess with anything past 3 o'clock because I know this macro can act a little. It can act a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie, especially if you're on the micros. This macro can act very erratic. So me personally, just from my experience, I don't recommend messing with this macro. But under certain conditions, you can. Like if the whole day is consolidated, then sure, you can possibly consider this. But right off the bat, we run into buy side. Oh my gosh. Once we run into it, only two candles stay above it, run past it. Only two candles run past it. But then we begin slowing down, dropping, 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 dropping. This whole fair value gap right here has been disrespected, turning it into an inversion fair value gap. What's that? Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. I gotta make sure I haven't taught that yet. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Uh uh-oh. I might have just spoiled something, guys. I might have just spoiled something. Anyway, we're gonna keep this recording going. We come below these two candles low right here. See that? Up candle right here, if I can do it. Up candle, up candle. What's that? Order block. We're gonna put the quadrants on it. Oh my god, I just said quadrant. Uh-oh, I leaked something else. Such a bad teacher, guys. I just can't keep things secret, man. I love teaching. Anyway, once we break the or activate the order block and activate the breaker structure, we retrace back into what? Order block. Oh my god. Is it even coming close to equilibrium? No. No, not at all. So since we see that multiple times, one, two, you're like, okay, we can possibly enter short here. Let's do it. Those enter short. Let's see here. No, not fib retracement. Where's the long position? No, I did do it right. Okay. So let's say we entered, I don't know, like right around here when it was moving away from it. Right around there. We set our stop at the top of the order block or maybe above equilibrium around there. Then you could target these equal lows right here. Boom. Exactly, literally an exactly 2 to 1 or 1 to 2 risk reward ratio. Okay. Now your trade does not have to close within the final hour macro. You don't have to place it, then close it within the final hour macro, which is 30 minutes. You don't have to do that. You can hold it outside of the final hour macro, but just like I said earlier, mind you, this macro can be very suspicious. So it can be very iffy to trade. So I don't really recommend trading this too much or holding your trade too much if you do trade this. That's why I wanted to set it as a very short target. This was literally 20 points. Honestly, if I'm being real with you, I wouldn't trade that. This range is too small to even consider the final hour macro. But if we're moving like 300 points in a day, then sure, yeah, trade the final hour macro if if the market conditions they do so. Okay? If you have the confluences, if the whole day is accumulated, stuff like that. If price is showing you like sure you could trade the final hour macro, do so. Okay, but we don't even have those confluences here, and we're in a super super small range. 22 points. What are you gonna full port 5 minis? I mean, yeah, if you, bruh, full port 5 minis and catch 22 points, that's 2,200 right there, bruh. That would be amazing, really. But no one's gonna do that. You shouldn't be going 5 minis on a 20-point move. That's just not smart at all. Anyway, I think I taught you all the macros. Okay, pretty simple. Lunch hour macro, fun hour macro, and just a regular 20-minute interval macro. First 10 minutes. I mean, the last 10 minutes of an hour of the current hour, and ending at the first 10 minutes of the next hour. Okay, that's a 20-minute interval within a kill zone. Okay, remember that within a kill zone. Anyway, this is the end. Hopefully, I didn't mess up on this. I feel like I did pretty good teaching you this. Anyway, this is 20 minutes. This video should not be that long. I'll be in this video here. Good luck and good trading.